If you're looking to keep a pulse on the real estate market, you've come to the right video. I'm going to break down some of the information that the National Association of Realtors has just posted for June of 2024's numbers, and we're going to compare that to June of 2023. I did this last month for May. I'll continue to do it each month. And all of this data is also in written form on my LinkedIn newsletter. I've got a bi-weekly newsletter there. I invite you to subscribe because I talk about some of the other headlines throughout the rest of the time in the month. Before we get started, if you or somebody you know is looking to refinance or get a purchase loan on real estate anywhere in the country, myself and my team can help you. Please reach out. If you're looking to buy real estate or sell real estate, maybe it's your primary home, a vacation home, or an investment property, we've got you. We can help you. Reach out and we can help you buy or sell that real estate as well. All right, let's dive in. Before I get into the National Association of Realtor numbers, let's talk about a couple of headlines that is absolutely affecting the real estate industry. So a couple of things. The jobless claims report that came out in the third week of July says that the jobless claims are up 20,000 jobs for this month. And it is the highest amount in the last 11 months. And in mid-June, the Federal Reserve Bank, which by the way is not a federal entity, but the Federal Reserve Bank, which has 12 districts sprinkled around our country, they're the ones that are in charge of the federal funds rate, which we're going to also talk about that in just a moment. They have 12 different representations, districts around our country. 5 out of 12 of them have just reported in their beige book report that the areas that they serve are either flat or declining, which is really kind of eye-opening about us walking into a recession. So about 42% are showing flat or declining numbers scattered around our country. And mentioning here the Federal Reserve, the chairman, Powell, just spoke a couple of hours ago prior to this recording. And for right now, he's holding the Fed funds rate where it's at, which is 5.25 to 5.5. There is indication that the Fed might be reducing the interest rate come September, when they meet in September. So what does this mean? The Fed funds rate is the overnight bank rate that banks charge to borrow money to banks. And when that's higher, they pay you more in interest. So you're making more money off of your savings account or your money market accounts. However, it's costing you more money to borrow short term, such as home equity lines of credit and credit cards. Those credit cards are tied to, your APR is tied to the prime index rate, which is a direct correlation with the Fed funds rate. So hopefully they'll start to bring that down when they meet in September. My fear is if they bring it down too fast over their next couple of meetings, it might have a negative effect. So hopefully they'll pace it right. So hopefully that starts coming down because it absolutely affects so many things, including our real estate industry. So let's break down the June numbers that National Association of Realtors have just brought out. Okay, so drum roll, please. Well, what do you think the numbers are showing? Do you think it's showing a softening or still an increase? The NAR economist had come out just last week and had shared that the June's numbers reflect that all 4 regions of our great country had experienced not only an increase in value, but that has ultimately caused a decrease in existing sales to the tune of 5.4%. So when we compare the total existing home sales current day to that data in 2020, approximately 6.8 million homes were being sold, and current day we're at the tune of about 3.8 million. So it's a significant decrease. I also saw that the data reflected that since 2020, home prices have increased 44%. When you mix that in with a higher interest rate, which we're still in the very high 6s to 7s, depending on what region you live in, what kind of loan program you're going for, what your credit scores are, that is a recipe for disaster. I just read from another economist that the average price home, the median priced home in our country, is 5.6 times greater than the average income. And if we go decades back, it was somewhere around 2.6 or 2.7 times greater. And so what that means is we're getting squeezed where more of our take-home pay is having to go towards the cost of our home. And if you think about it, we're somewhere around 50% of what we earn is actually what we can use to spend. So when you take out federal income taxes, state taxes if you live in a state with state taxes, and then sales tax that you pay on everything that you buy, we're somewhere close to about 50% for a lot of people of what your take-home pay actually winds up resulting in. So if you're only working with 50% because you've got all of these taxes and expenses over here, and your housing payment is somewhere around 40% of your gross income, that doesn't leave a lot for anything else. And here's another headline that goes along with this. It's unrelated to housing, but it's very important because it is something that you should know. Revolving credit, which includes credit cards and home equity lines of credit, is up 6.8% annually. So what does that mean? That means more people are relying on their lines of credit just to make ends meet. Those credit card holders, those people who have a credit card, 48% of them carry a balance forward. In other words, we're no longer at a position where we can just use our credit cards to pay for our gas and groceries and pay it off at the end of the month, like a lot of people desire to do. 48% of credit card holders are carrying that balance forward because they're unable to pay it off, because cost of living has really accelerated. I also want to include here the Home Affordability Index. Basically, anything over 100 is very, very healthy, and you can see in prior years we were there. And anything under 100, and the further you get away from 100, it reflects it's not very healthy. It's not affordable to buy a home. So incomes are not increasing at the pace in which the cost of housing is. So there are millions of people right now sitting on the sidelines praying and hoping that rates come down and that home values come down. And there are millions of people that own real estate that say, I pray and hope that home values don't go down. I like this equity status that I'm in. I love my interest rate at 3%, but they're also working with thousands and thousands of dollars at a 20-something% interest rate being rolled forward month after month on their credit cards. So at what point do we have to give? At what point do we have to refinance and take advantage of our equity status, which unfortunately requires you to let go of that 2, 3, 4% interest rate into a 6 or a 7% interest rate, but to be able to get out of the debt situation, to be able to better cash flow each month. I see so many credit reports where a car payment now starts with a 1,000 and some change. It's becoming very, very commonplace. So if we've got debt that we're servicing over here because we can't pay it off on credit cards, we've got these crazy payments for housing right now, whether you rent or you're buying a new home, it's to the point where most housing payments are starting with a 2,000 something or a 3,000 something in the middle class range. And if you own a home, you might be experiencing taxes, property taxes, and homeowners insurance changing at some really rapid paces. Okay, so let's dive into some more data. Here's an extraordinary chart to look at. In June of 2020, we've got a median priced home of $294,500. But in June of 2024, that number soared to $426,900. So that is an extraordinary jump in what we are seeing as the median purchase price for a home. What does that mean? That means that if you earn $60,000 a year and have minimal down payment, you're looking at about a $250,000, $260,000 home for a comfortable housing payment. But what this is saying is the median priced home, or the average home price that's being sold right now, is just about $427,000. In many markets, a $260,000 home no longer exists. And that is further fueling some frustrations for some buyers who are trying to get into the market. They want to get into the market, and it doesn't exist. Okay, so now let's shift over to what is local to me for some data. And I'm looking at the Orlando Regional Realtor Association information for June 2024 compared to June of 2023. And even though you might be watching this and not live in this region, I would encourage you to keep a pulse on what's happening in Florida, because it is a very sought after state for a lot of different reasons. We don't have state income tax. It's a really great place to retire because you've got all different kinds of landscapes that you can choose. You want to live at the beach? Check. You want to live in a hilly, tree-lined area in the middle of the state? Check. If you want some cooler winters up in the Panhandle, you'll have that. If you want summer year-round, go live in the Keys or down by Miami. There are so many different kinds of landscapes to live in, and it's very friendly for retirees. So it is a sought-after place. It's very transient. We have a big, huge hospitality industry here. So if you're wanting to kind of see what's going on around the country, I encourage you to keep your eyes on Florida. It's always been one of those states that is very indicative of what's going on. So let's dive right into it. As you can see, for the listings, the current listings in June of 2024 compared to June of 2023, the listings are up 98%. We are nearly double the inventory that we had one short year ago. But I want to point something out to you. Look at the closed sales. It's actually less this year versus last year. So we've got double the inventory and less closings. When I look at the interest rates comparatively, they're almost spot on. But if you check out what the median sales price is year over year, that's the difference. And that's what is creating this home unaffordability. Now, what is causing the drive of the prices going up? There's all sorts of opinions and all sorts of different reasons. But the point is, the prices continue to go up. What I am seeing as a trend is longer days on market and price decreases. I think that some sellers are trying to reach for the stars and the moon, and they find that they've got to just keep doing price reductions over time until they hit that watermark of where people are saying, okay, now I see the value in that price. Now I'm ready to pounce on it. So gone are the days where we had 30, 40, 50, even 80 offers on a home within the first 30 minutes or 3 days, whatever the case was. That is what 21 felt like for me and for my clients. It was a very, very challenging market. So that doesn't seem to be the case for most listings anymore. So if you are representing a seller, and if you're having a conversation, really spotlight and go through what that data means when you're talking to a seller as far as what they can anticipate for days on market. And the higher they go up in that goal or stretch for the highest price, they might find themselves needing to slice that back a little bit if you're going to have any activity. If you list that property and it's on the market for 2 weeks and you don't have any showings, it's time to drop that price. All right, so those are the highlights. I'd love to hear from you. What's going on in your neighborhood? What are you experiencing yourself? Maybe you're a buyer, maybe you're a seller, maybe you're an agent. What are you experiencing, and does it feel like it's in alignment with what I've shared with you today? Again, subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn because I do share some additional economic information over there because it all compiles and it affects our real estate industry. But let's keep a pulse on this together, and I will get you next month's video on July. As soon as the data comes out, I'll record a video and get that out to you. Thanks so much for watching.